a second thought, a second glance of proof. I got whatever it takes. It's a piece of cake.
Suicide Squad and how Jared Leto actually kind of surprised me with how solid his portrayal was. But in the end, I was a Marvel fan as a kid. I've got more invested in that company, I think. And despite certain One More Day shaped setbacks, I think it's generally been pretty solid, especially when it comes to media outside of the comic books. So let's talk about Deadpool. It looks awesome. The trailer for it looks phenomenal. And if the movie is even half as good as that, it's going to be great. And I think the reason why it's going to be great is because they kept it adult-themed. You can't really do Deadpool, you know, as some kind of kids show, you know. It'd be like trying to do Spawn as a PG-13 movie with a dog. Yeah, that's a couple of bucks I'm never going to get back. But still, besides that, they're also adding Spider-Man to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And my guess is they're probably going to slot him in maybe Civil War. I mean, he was big in the comic books for that. Spider-Man is sort of the icon of Marvel, and the recent movies have not been living up to that, unfortunately. You know, he is their Batman, their Superman. He is pretty much the one that everybody knows. I mean, X-Men, they've kind of caught up, but really, when you get right down to it, Spider-Man is the one most people had, you know, pajamas of. It's difficult to call it an icon now because there's been 3 Spider-Man reboots. That's pretty much the most of the current zeitgeist, barring maybe the Hulk. And it's a bit jarring. The fact that Sony's willing to play ball for this Marvel Cinematic Universe crossover thing is fascinating. I guess it's pretty much so that Sony can help supplement their bottom line. I mean, nobody really ends up bad hitching a horse to Disney. What else? The fact that they're replacing the actor again actually is something that bothers me. I thought Mr. Garfield did an excellent job of portraying Spider-Man at basically his core once he becomes, you know, competent. He's still dorky. He's still sarcastic. He still has these emotional issues, but he doesn't really let it stop him. He just lets it kind of flow, which to me was always Spider-Man. I never really liked the Tobey Maguire sad puppy dog face, crying a lot, timid voice, early character, dorky, only a scientist would know this character. That phone just will not stop. So, when I saw Mr. Holland, and bear in mind I've got no idea on his acting capacity, I've not seen him in anything, but just from his appearance, he looks like a younger, more gentle-featured version of Tobey Maguire, which I didn't think was possible. But, yeah, they're definitely going to that instead. And, I don't know how I feel about Joe Quesada taking a more active role in the other media. That's a topic for another time. And what else? Oh, Daredevil gets the Kingpin in the upcoming season. Not the Kingpin. He's got the Kingpin already. The Punisher. I don't know how they're going to do the Punisher on Netflix. I think it's a better platform than, say, ABC. But still, he's a tortured man possessed, and I don't think he really lends himself well to being a foil or sidekick or anything really where he has to share the spotlight. It's necessary for there to be that focus on him to make his character anything other than kind of a crazy murderer. But we'll see. I mean, first season of Daredevil I thought was phenomenal. So that's basically my impressions of that portion of Comic-Con. There's a lot more to go through, and everybody's already gone through it, but I just want to talk about that. Origin accounts are being changed to EA accounts. This is fascinating to me, because they're basically stating that there's nothing about the service that's going to change. So it's really just a rebranding. It's purely a publicity thing. EA apparently responded to being the worst company to work for in America a little ways back, promising they're going to do better. There are still a fair number of complaints coming out of the Origin department. My favorite is the selling online currency the day before canceling a game, announcing they were going to cancel a game, I guess, is rough. That's the one I heard about most recently. But changing the name without changing the service is not going to fix anything. If nothing else, it's going to tie the name EA to the problems now, which is pretty much going to tie it to the company even stronger than Origin. I don't know. From my opinion and from those I've talked to, Origin is sort of an albatross on that company. It's not its fault, but it's competing with, Steam. It's competing with Uplay. And while Uplay is not the most friendly thing in the world, and while Steam has basically no customer support, they both come out looking a lot shinier than Origin. Okay. So that's basically it. This is the Tasty Hat. I am Kale. And you have a good day.